Buenos días, queridos alumnos de Cela Spanish School Online. In today's class, we will start with our series of explanations dedicated to the imperative in Spanish. These videos are part of our distance course that consists of written self-study material with exercises with solutions and activities reviewed by the teacher. Please excuse my English is not good. Making these videos in English will help me improve it. These videos are available completely in Spanish. I recommend seeing them as well. My students have asked me for the explanations also in English because they can concentrate on the information and not on the listening comprehension of Spanish. Since everyone learns differently, we want our students to have the greatest variety of resources possible. In this course, we will study the imperative step by step. In this course on the imperative, we will learn about the conjugation of the regular and irregular verbs, the changes that occur when the imperative is negative, the position of the pronouns with the verb in imperative, when we use the imperative in Spanish, and we will know other alternatives that are to give orders, instructions, advice, and recommendations in Spanish. We recommend this course for students who already have basic knowledge of Spanish. In Spanish, we use the imperative very often, and not just to give orders or commands. Let's see some examples. A friend comes to my office and I invite him to sit down. Por favor, siéntate. I'm in a restaurant and I want to order another beer. Señor, por favor, tráigame una cerveza. I meet a friend that I have not seen in a while and I invite her to my house. Ven a mi casa esta tarde y charlamos. I offer a beer to a friend. Anda, tómate una cerveza conmigo. Hoy es viernes. In most languages, the use of the imperative goes beyond giving orders. Its meaning depends a lot on intonation and context. Let's now see how regular verbs are conjugated in the imperative. Although in Spanish each time has its own irregular verbs, there are certain lines of irregularity. Verbs that are irregular in the present tense are also irregular in the imperative and in the present subjunctive mood. Let's remember how regular verbs conjugate in the present. And we will compare the conjugation with the conjugation in the imperative. When speaking of vowels and endings, I will use Spanish and not the pronunciation of English. As you will remember, in Spanish we have three groups of verbs. Those that ends in ar, those that ends in er, and those that ends in ir. To conjugate a verb, we must remove the ending to obtain the root and place the corresponding ending for each verbal person in each time. In the present, the conjugation of regular verbs is as follows. Trabajar, yo trabajo, tú trabajas, él, ella, usted trabaja, nosotros trabajamos, vosotros trabajáis, ellos, ellas, ustedes trabajan. Comer. Yo como, tú comes, él, ella, usted come, nosotros comemos, vosotros coméis, ellos, ellas, ustedes comen. Escribir. Yo escribo, tú escribes, él, ella, usted escribe, nosotros escribimos, vosotros escribís y ellos, ellas, ustedes escriben. In Latin American Spanish, we do not use vosotros, which would be the plural of tú. They use it in Spain to refer to more than one known person that we treat informally. We use ustedes. Let's see now the conjugation in the positive imperative for regular verbs. In the imperative, we have fewer personal pronouns because we speak directly to a person. We talk to someone, and we do not talk about someone. We do not have first person yo, because if we give an order to ourselves, we will do it with tú. Nor are the third persons él, ella, ellos, ellas. Let's see what happens with the endings in the imperative. Trabajar. Tú trabaja. Usted trabaje. Nosotros trabajemos. Vosotros trabajad. Ustedes trabajen. Comer. Tú come. Usted coma. Nosotros comamos. Vosotros comed. Ustedes coman. Escribir. Tú escribe. Usted escriba. Nosotros escribamos. Vosotros escribid. Ustedes escriban. As you can see, the form of tú is the same as the present, but the verb does not end in s. We could say that it is the form of the present, but without the final s. This is only in the positive imperative, since in the negative imperative it is different. We will talk about that in a moment. In the positive imperative, vosotros is almost equal to the verb in infinitive, only that it does not end in R, but in D. This final D is pronounced softly. Trabajad, comed, escribir. As I said, vosotros is used only in Spain. The rest of the verbal persons, usted, nosotros, ustedes, have the ending with the vowel e if the verb is from the group ending in R, and the ending with the vowel a if it is a verb that ends in er or ir. This will also happen in present subjunctive mood. The negative imperative and the present subjunctive have the same conjugation. Therefore, I recommend that my students learn the imperative first before beginning the subjunctive. When the imperative is negative, the person tú and vosotros change in the following way. Tú trabaja becomes no trabajes. Vosotros trabajad becomes no trabajéis. Tú come becomes no comas. Comed transforms to no comáis. Tú escribe transforms to no escribas. And escribid transforms to no escribáis. The rest of the verbal persons remain the same. It is the same for positive and negative. Trabaje, no trabaje. Trabajemos, no trabajemos. Trabajen, no trabajen. We can also observe that in the negative imperative, the verbs that end in R have the vowel E in the endings, and the verbs that end in er and in ir have the vowel A in the endings. The same happens in the conjugation of the present subjunctive. The present subjunctive and the negative imperative have the same conjugation. At Cela Spanish School, we like to divide the explanations into small logical sequences and practice immediately so that the new information can settle. In the complete course, of which this video is part, we offer a great variety of exercises with solutions and exercises with teacher feedback to practice what has been explained so far. I say goodbye and invite you to continue learning about the imperative in the following video, in which we will talk about irregular verbs in the imperative. I hope you have been able to understand my explanations in English, and I remind you to watch the videos in Spanish as well. I invite you to know more about our school and our courses by visiting our webpage.